Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the first video in a series of videos in which I will be talking about the basics of Android development. I will start in this video by showing you how you can create your first project in Android Studio and how you can run it on the emulator. I will also show you how the Android projects are structured. Later in the series, we will go through other basic aspects of Android development like activities, fragments, services, how to pass data around the application, and a lot of other topics which a beginner Android developer may find very confusing. Also, all the videos will be completely in Kotlin, since that is the direction Android is headed, and since Java is slowly fading out of Android community, it doesn't really make any sense to make a course in Java at this point. Now I'm assuming that you have already installed the Android Studio. I will not be going through the installation process. So if you haven't installed the Android Studio yet, please install Android Studio. There are a lot of tutorials out there that will help you depending on what operating system you are using. So please install Android Studio and let's get started. Now, once you have the Android Studio installed and you open it up, you should see a view like this. Now in your case, it may look a bit different if you have chosen a different theme, but I've chosen the dark theme, so that's why it looks a bit darkish, but in your case it may look a bit brighter if you have chosen a different theme. Doesn't really matter. And you may also not be able to see these projects here because I already have some projects opened up, but if you're opening up the Android Studio for the first time, you may not see these anything here. So if you go over here and press this create new project, you will land on this screen, and on the top of this screen you can see that you have a couple of options for selecting a template for your Android applications that you're about to create. So here on the top you can see that you can have options. You have options for phone and tablet, Wear OS if you want to create an application for Wear OS, Android TV, Auto, and so on. But for now I think we will stick with phone and tablet. So if you go here and you select an empty activity, and I will explain the concept of activity in the later videos as well, click next. Here you get to select the name of your application. I think my application sounds pretty good. So yeah, you can select any other name as well as you want. I will just go with my application. And down here, yeah, here you can see that you can select the language. I will select Kotlin. And for the minimum SDK, it just depends on you. I like selecting API level 21 at least, and once you select an API level, you will see what percentage of the devices your app will be able to support. So if you go further back, let's say we go down to API level 16, we will be able to support more devices, but there are not that many people that are using those devices anymore anyway. So I usually prefer starting with API level 21. So I will select that and press finish. Now at this point, your Android Studio will launch up, and it may take some time because in the beginning it has to download a lot of different stuff. Now once the application is built, you should see a view like this. Now there's a couple of things going on over here. You can see that our main activity is open here, and we have something in the left pane over here as well. But before going through all the stuff that's there, let's create an Android virtual device and run our application so we can actually see what this application is doing. Now, when you want to run the Android application, you basically go up here and press this play button. And I have a device already, but if you don't have a device, you basically go here. And this is called the AVD Manager, Android Virtual Device Manager, where you can create Android virtual devices. You can see I have one here already, but we can create a new one. If you press here, you will see this screen, and here you have a couple of different options. So basically select whatever Android device you want to have. I think this first one looks pretty decent to me. Click next, and then at this point it will ask you what API version, what Android version do you want on that device. So basically select the one that you have downloaded when you were installing the Android Studio. And I think these are not really required at this point, so just select this one, press next. Here you can select the name of the device as well. I just prefer to have it like this. And then what else? Yes, the startup orientation. Now you can select landscape and portrait. I prefer portrait, but if you're making applications, let's say for tablets, where landscape mode is more important, so you can just define landscape mode to be the startup orientation as well. But I will stick with portrait and leave this to automatic, and then press finish. Now once you press finish, you should have this new device here already. Now press start, and then you should be able to see the Android application. So it's a pretty basic application that just says hello world. Now back in our Android Studio, I can explain what's going on over here. So here, basically, this is our project structure, and there are a couple of ways you can visualize this structure. So basically, you can select project, you can select Android, and you can select like packages as well. But if you're a beginner Android developer, I would just suggest to select Android. It will show you the relevant files. Now here at the top, you can see that we have a manifest folder and an Android manifest file. If you open this up, so this is basically a file that tells the Android system what your application contains. So basically here you can see that we have an application tag that basically defines if the backup is allowed, what kind of icon you will have in your launcher, what's the name of the application, and so on, and what's the theme of the application. And here you can see that we have defined, it has automatically defined an activity as well. That's our main activity over here. And this section of the code basically says that this is a launcher activity. So when you press the application button on your mobile phone, this is the activity that will be launched. Later on, we may have more activities, in which case there will be more tags defined down here. But everything you define, like activity services, and if you need to have some special permissions in your application, like you may have seen the Android apps requesting certain permissions like location permission and so on, those are defined over here as well. So that was Android manifest file. If you come here to in the Java folder, here you will find all the files that contains your actual code. So all the Kotlin files will be here. So for instance, this main activity is over here, and then Android Studio automatically generates these two folders. This one folder that has this Android test over here, and one with the tests. So this folder basically contains the instrumentation tests. So instrumentation tests are the UI tests basically, and we can go through that in a later video as well. But at this point, you don't really need to touch both of these. And in this one, we actually have an example unit test over here. But just for your information, you don't need to touch it right now. Then this is the generated folder. You don't need to touch that. And in the resource folder, you have all the resources of the application. What are the resources? So you have all the drawables, all the images. If you have some audio files, they go over here as well. All the layouts of the application go in this folder. All the drawables go over here. So you can see that we have the background, the default background that Android generated over here as well. Then in the values folder, you have different values that you can define. You can define colors. So here there are certain colors defined over here, and there's a string folder where you define all the strings, and I will explain why we define strings here and not like in the application. And then if you have certain themes, you put the themes over here as well. So basically everything related to the design is defined here in the Android resource folder. So that was that for this time. Yeah, so here in the Gradle scripts, I think the most important part is this one, the module your application. And here it says like what's the compile version of your application and what's the application ID. That application ID is important when you're uploading your application to the Play Store, but for now it's just leave it like this. And then here you have certain dependencies. So if your project is dependent on certain libraries, then you declare those dependencies over here as well, but we will go through that later as well. And yeah, that is it for the project structure. Back here, You can see that this is our editor. So if you want to write some Kotlin code, we write the Kotlin code over here, and all the layout files look like this. So basically, when you come here in the layout file, there's quite a lot of stuff going on around here. So first important thing to know is that you can select the type of view that you want to see. So right now the design tab is selected, so you only see the design. You can have a split view, in which case it will show you the textual part and then the design part as well. So in Android, we write these XMLs for the layouts. So this is where you can basically write your code and then see the changes in the view live as well. And if you don't want to see the changes, you can just have the code view here as well. So that was a very brief overview of the Android Studio. Now I certainly haven't explained all the stuff since there's a lot to Android Studio, but we'll go through everything as we progress through this series. So that was it for this video. In the next video, I will talk about Android activities and their life cycle. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.